He stabbed her over 100 times, and by the defendant's own admission, he intended to stab and kill his wife.
A 21-year-old college student with her entire life ahead of her stabbed more than 100 times. Seattle police say Angelina Tran's stepfather murdered her, and the whole thing was caught on camera. Thanks for joining us here on Law and Crime. I'm Anjanette Levy. Angelina Tran was a student at the University of Washington. She had just 1 year left. Police say on August 7th, she died trying to protect her mother from an attack by her stepfather. Video from the King County Prosecutor's Office shows Tran's stepfather, Najib Chow, and her mother, Lynn Tran, in their kitchen. Seconds after this video, police say Chow punched Lynn 15 times. When Angelina Tran came to her mom's aid, Chow grabbed a knife from a drawer and began to stab her.
This is a case that was investigated by the Seattle Police Department, who were at the scene, and was referred to our office for a review of criminal charges. We reviewed the case and filed felony charges. Rush filed 2 felony charges, which reflected the seriousness of the case: murder in the first degree and attempted murder in the first degree. And again, we rush filed those cases. And when we were in court at first appearance, we asked for a $5 million bail amount, which is a high bail amount, and the court agreed. And the reason we did that was our belief that the defendant presented both danger to the community and a potential flight risk.
The concern is valid. According to charging documents, Chow told police that he became angry because he thought Lynn Tran would divorce him despite never saying such a thing. Police said cameras recorded the attack and showed that Chow dragged his stepdaughter across the room, took a large knife from a drawer, and began to stab her in the chest and abdomen. Police also said the defendant paused his attack several times, once to change clothes because of all of the blood, and again to select a different knife, a meat cleaver, from the kitchen drawer, and finally, while still armed with the knife, to go look for his wife, who was hiding in a nearby bedroom, calling 911. Chow told police he was covered in blood, so he changed his clothes and got a second knife and stabbed Angelina again.
I mean, what we see in these public documents is that the defendant killed his own stepdaughter, and he stabbed her over 100 times, and by the defendant's own admission, he intended to stab and kill his wife. And it's extremely concerning, and that fact is reflected in, again, that really high bail amount that we asked for, and the fact that we filed a first-degree murder and attempted first-degree murder charges that we believe we can prove beyond a reasonable doubt before a jury, and we're going to continue to be working on that.
Are you aware, or are Seattle police aware of any history, any domestic violence history with the defendant and his wife and the stepdaughter?
So when it comes to criminal history, I'll have to let the public charging information speak to itself, speak for itself. But, I'll say that generally speaking, domestic violence is something that we take extremely seriously at the King County Prosecuting Attorney's Office. And anytime that there is a murder or attempted murder in King County, we have senior deputy prosecutors who are going out to the scene of the crime to assist law enforcement with warrants and preparing the investigation, so it's as strong as possible.
The documents charging Chow with murder say his criminal history is limited to a fishing violation from 2006. There was no reported instance of domestic violence. Chow and Lynn Tran had been together for 19 years, but married just last year. Angelina considered him her father. Christine Grillo is a former prosecutor who has handled domestic violence cases.
The fact of having the child intervene, I did a case like that. I have seen other cases like this.
There's no reported history of domestic violence that we can see in the charging documents. So I find it very hard to believe that this is just some one-off.
I absolutely agree with you. In my experience, no one began with homicide. There's always some. It would be non-reported. I think we had been discussing that sometimes, where you come from, your background, your nationality, your religion. It's something that you don't report, and you don't feel safe reporting it. For us in the Brooklyn Attorney's Office, it was a big thing in the deaf community. It was a big thing in the Hasidic community that these folks they felt like it was within their own, and they did not want outside intervention or outside help. And that is very sad and unfortunate sometimes that the results come and like they did in this case.
The organizer of a GoFundMe page set up in Angelina's memory wrote, "The pain of her absence is profound as she was a gem of a human being. The impact she had on all those fortunate enough to know her was significant. She had a passion for helping others, so all of the money will go to the National Asian Pacific Center on Aging."
We know from research that domestic violence can be a bellwether for other forms of community violence. We know that, when an individual is capable of hurting someone that they purport to love, it speaks to their likelihood of performing violence on someone that they don't know or don't purport to love in that way. And so, it's why we take domestic violence cases so seriously in King County. And for individuals who are in a domestic violence scenario, know that there's help out there. There's community resources available to you, and to help you to get out of that situation.
Help for victims of domestic violence is available 24 hours a day by calling 800-799-7233. That's 800-799-SAFE. Chow will be in court later this month for an arraignment. At that time, he will enter a plea to the charges. For now, he's behind bars, being held on that $5 million bond. For Law and Crime, I'm Anjanette Levy.